Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Cleave podcast. This is John again with another Here's the Lesson mini episode. And I just want to thank you for walking with us through Holy Week this past week. Over the last several days, we've moved with Jesus through the final stretch of his mortal ministry. We've watched him cleanse the temple, confront hypocrisy, endure betrayal, and pray in anguish in Gethsemane. And now we come to Good Friday, where everything seems to narrow into suffering, silence, and loss. Good Friday holds one of the deepest truths in all of Christianity. Jesus Christ, the Son of God, did not remain distant from human pain. He entered it fully. He was betrayed, abandoned, mocked, beaten, and crucified. He was not insulated from sorrow. He did not escape the worst of what human weakness, fear, and evil can do. And that is really important because so many people move through suffering with the haunting feeling that no one really understands what this kind of pain is like. But I'm here to testify that Christ does. He understands what it is to be left by people who once walked near him. He understands public humiliation, physical agony, injustice, loneliness, and the terrible weight of carrying something to the very end when there is no shortcut around it. When we look at the cross, we are not looking at a Savior who offers comfort from a distance. We are looking at a Savior who has entered the deepest places of grief himself, in perfect submission to the will of the Father. I think that is why Good Friday speaks so powerfully to anyone carrying family pain, betrayal, broken trust, or a sorrow that feels heavier than words can hold. Many of us know what it is to keep functioning on the outside while carrying something unbearable on the inside. We know what it is to lose not only a relationship, but the hope that is attached to it. Sometimes what dies is not just closeness, but the picture we had of what life was supposed to be. And suffering like that can make people feel spiritually disoriented. It can raise quiet questions we do not always say out loud. Does God see this? Does he actually understand what this feels like? Is heaven really near, or only the parts of life that still feel whole? Good Friday answers those questions in the most sobering and beautiful way possible. Jesus Christ knows this road from the inside. Not because pain is good, not because suffering is easy, and not because the cross should be romanticized, but because the Savior has gone into the place most of us fear most, the place of abandonment, agony, and grief. And he has not left it untouched by his presence. When Jesus cries out, my God, why hast thou forsaken me?" he gives voice to something many suffering people understand more than they wish that they did. He is not giving us a polished, emotionally detached spirituality. He is showing us that anguish can be spoken aloud. Pain can be named. Sorrow can be carried honestly before God. That is one of the great mercies of Good Friday. It gives us permission to stop pretending that real faith means emotional neatness. Sometimes faith looks less like confidence and more like endurance. Less like resolution, and more like refusing to let go of God in the middle of what hurts. For some of you, this day may land very personally. You may be grieving a family relationship that never became what you hoped. You may be carrying the fallout of betrayal, estrangement, disappointment, or a season of suffering that has changed you. You may feel like you are still standing at the foot of something you never would have chosen. If that is where you are, Good Friday does not ask you to rush past your pain. It does not ask you to make it sound prettier than it is. It simply reminds you that the Savior is not absent from this terrain. He knows it from the inside. And because of that, suffering is no longer proof that heaven has abandoned you. Sometimes it is the very place where the love of God and the companionship of Christ become most sacred, even if it does not yet feel triumphant. That is why the cross matters so much. It tells the truth about love, not the thin version of love that survives only while life is manageable, but the kind that remains when the cost is real. The kind that does not disappear when the road turns dark. The kind that endures all the way through. And maybe that is the lesson of Good Friday. Not that pain is small, not that grief should be rushed, not that suffering makes sense too quickly, but that when the worst thing came, love did not leave. The world betrayed him. The crowd rejected him. The cross crushed him. But love stayed. And because love stayed, so can hope. Thank you for being here today. Tomorrow, we wait.